Okay, well, thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be here, and I'd like to thank you for inviting me for the first time to this TA meeting. The title is Seeking to Foster Innovation in Colombia, really, because I don't think we can say that we really do a lot with respect to innovation. Let me tell you a little bit about Colombia. We're located in the northwest part of South America. We're the 26th country as far as geographical size, 29th as far as population. We have huge resources: water, oil and gas, coal, gold, emeralds. One of the most biodiverse countries in the world, and having a stable and solid democracy, but with a more than 50-year-old internal conflict, and currently the 28th largest economy in the world. The GDP has grown steadily for the past 10 years, and more by a factor of 4. We are also characterized by having real natural, let's say, creative industries and natural resources that provide some natural attractions for, tourism and all kinds of other things. However, as far as the competitiveness index, we are only in the last measurement that we have 69 out of 144 countries. And if you look at the different indicators to evaluate that index, well, you can really see here where you're lacking strength and where you should focus your policies to try to, do much better for each one of these indicators. So, university industry collaborations in R&D is pretty low, and the availability of scientists and engineers is also pretty low. I would say that Colombia spent the last 25 years or so trying to build up capacity in science and technology. However, this is the evolution of the R&D spending as a percentage of the GDP, and it's been relatively flat for the last 5-6 years. It's only like 0.18% of the GDP. However, capacity building has occurred, and we're talking about having roughly like 5,500 research groups in the country now. Only 200 of them have been active for more than 15 years. However, this funding situation is pretty critical in the sense that we've increased the amount of proposals that are presented to the local funding agency, or national funding agency, have increased from like 1,600 to around 9,000 per year, but only between 300 and 400 ever get funded. So this is a rather critical situation with respect to how you build up your capacity, you have more PhDs, etc., more research groups, but if you can't really fund their activities, then you're in trouble. So here is this map produced by UNESCO, which shows the distribution of the countries according to their investment in R&D activities. And Colombia, unfortunately, is in the lowest group here, in 0 to 0.25% of GDP. Another thing that I'd like to highlight is the percentage of technology experts. So here in this graph here, the red is non-traditional experts and the blue are the traditional experts for over the 2002-2010 period. And you see here, this is only the percentage of high technology exports of the total exports. So really we're essentially no added value to our exports. That's the main conclusion that you can draw from this. Also the efforts by sector. Here we have a comparison of who is actually investing in R&D in Colombia. Here is in red. This pointer is not working properly. So, but this is a benchmark compared to the U.S. So while this dark purple color, 70% of this investment in the U.S. is done by business enterprises. In Colombia, it's very, very small, and essentially it's higher education institutions that are putting in most of the budget for for R&D activities. Also, according to the company sizes, you can see what is the percentage of investment in R&D activities, so 4, 8, or 15% for small, medium, and large companies. And what are the activities for improving their competitiveness in these SMEs? And essentially, you see very little related to R&D, and some related to more innovation as a new product that they want to launch or something. If you look at the relative productivity of Colombia versus the US, then you see for each of these different sectors of the economy that the rate is pretty low in almost all sectors, except perhaps in these mining and financial sector activities, which, by the way, for the last 10 years have brought in most of the foreign direct investment, but it is very, very concentrated and doesn't get almost any distribution of loan to the full population. I'll skip this. We have a current plan by the government for incentivizing employment and productivity. Total investment $2.1 billion. It goes into these areas, in particular, just to focus on competitiveness. As the situation, as you could see by the previous graphs, is pretty bad, and some of it is coming down to some of the smaller companies, but most of it is still going to the larger companies. And in the current year, 2013, the industry activity has decreased in almost 15%. This again is related to the strong focus on natural resources from mining, oil, and gas. As far as science, Colombia is the 5th country in Latin America as far as the output of published articles, scientific articles, and it started from a very small number. Then you get a large percentage increase for variation from one year to the other, but there is a general positive trend, and it will come to surpass Chile in the near future. Still, if you look at total output from research, you have essentially no patents. 200 patents last 10 years from national residents in Colombia. That's the full figure. There is a lot of submerged innovation, if you want, but university and society still have large distances to go to come much closer. And there is a broad focus, as I mentioned in the first slide. Colombia is a very rich country in many ways, and it has developed a series of strengths in health and agriculture, especially flowers, and some other activities. But it really is not strong enough or competitive enough in any of these possible areas. I think we have to highlight we have very weak policies. There isn't a clear innovation leader at the national level. There aren't any clear priorities. There are some funds recently increased. Well, one of the positive things was in 2010 the government passed a law to give 10% of the royalties produced by mining and oil and gas for science and technology. However, getting this to be effective is a serious problem. And I just want to talk a bit on a more positive note. What has happened in the last decade? First, roughly at the beginning of 2003, the government decided to try to incentivize the creation of these triple helix models around the country, and they gave some resources for that. But for many years it was pretty stagnant, and nothing really was going on there. And however, there are now like between 8 and 10 different triple helix model-like structures around the country, and the ones that were much too formal or had too much government involvement weren't really successful. I would say that one of the good things was that at least it created a way of talking to each other between industry and universities, etc. And one positive example is Connect Bogota. Connect Bogota then came out of the initial structure that was set up by the government, and essentially we are 50 members between companies and university presidents, CEOs of companies and university presidents. We decided to fund this organism, and so we started off with the initial 3-year funding given by each one of our organizations, and structured on Connect San Diego. This was because this group of CEOs and university presidents decided to go around the world looking at different models that could be more effective for having these type of triple helix structures actually functioning. And San Diego's model looked pretty interesting to us. To talk a little bit about Connect Bogota has very specific programs to accelerate innovation on one hand, provide training, and to foster technology transfer from universities. So we have this Springboard program, which is the original San Diego program, and what it does is it's focused on entrepreneurs, startup companies, and you really want to be able to accelerate growth in these companies. We've also started an initiative to have a regional technology transfer office. Not a single university could have the full TTO on its own, because the cost and the pipeline just of the projects is not enough for it to be sustainable. So at a regional level, we can work this out. We also have innovation forums in which you have research groups having specialized meetings with companies to try to find a good interaction point to foster innovation in the companies, for them to identify relevant technologies that they would be interested in marketing. This has produced some 19 effective results, and I just have some early wins here. Something that's been just going on for the last 3 years. So I'm not going to go into explaining each one of these, but at least there's some kind of dynamic starting to come through. The government has also started a new program. It created a new organization in the government that's called Impulsa, and this structure was given some additional funding just to provide more funding for different stages of the innovation process after the basic research stage. So there's some kind of a positive outlook there. Definitely we need to work on many factors. We need to have more innovation leaders. We need to get people to be more aware how to manage risk factors, more coordination, more PPP fostering, and strengthening policy in general at the institutional level, at the regional level, and at the national level. So, as I said, just to conclude, we have huge natural and social resources in emerging economy, emerging science, very low competitiveness, significant innovation gaps. Small and medium enterprises are more effective. We have a triple helix model growing fast in at least some of the regions, but there's a lack of national and regional innovation policies. We have enormous potential, but it's still something that has to be worked on and give continuity and further funding. Open innovation isn't an important subject yet, but I just want to finalize on a special note. As a result of this interaction that's been created between companies and universities, a subgroup of Connect, we're able to talk with a group initially from IDEO in California, and they connected us with Open IDEO. And the idea in this case has been to try to implement the methodologies of open innovation for the post-conflict. We're in the process of, we hope, getting a peace process finalized with one of the guerrillas, the main guerrilla group, and it would be very interesting to be able to apply this methodology for ideas and how to really turn around the country if we get into a framework of post-conflict. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marta. So, I think one that Marta doesn't mention is the initiative to develop science park in the university, so in cooperation with UNESCO. So,
yes, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Yes.
You forgot to mention the initiative to develop science park in the
Yes, sorry. Yeah, so one of the way I got to meet Daejeon and a couple other people that are here in the audience is because we're trying to put together and take forward an idea of a science park in Bogota, in the southern part of Bogota. It's a pretty ambitious project, as Daejeon knows, and giving the context, you will all realize how difficult it is. We are pretty positive that it will become a reality in the not so far future. So, thank you.
Thank you.